Welcome to Building HR Systems That Work for Women Spotlight. I'm Fatima, and I have my girl Amanda here. Amanda, please introduce yourself.
Hi, it's so great to see you, Fatima. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Amanda Sims. I'm the founder and CEO of Sims and Associates, and we are the global partner of UKG and Zadons, and have been for the last decade. We're celebrating our 10th birthday of being a global implementation partner.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Thank
Happy birthday!
you.
Happy birthday! So, from your perspective, why has HR historically been a woman led space? And if you agree with me, tell me, do you think that still holds true today?
Yeah, I think it does actually. I think historically it's been that way primarily because it absorbed a lot of the work that organizations didn't fully value, care, mediation, that what people classify as the emotional labor. And those are soft skills. And then those soft skills primarily end up being classified as women's strengths, rightly or wrongly. I think that it's still primarily female led. I mean, part of that is because that legacy truly hasn't shifted. Yeah, I mean, globally, I think it's about 75% of HR roles are still held by women right now. And as much as I think personally, I've had some wonderful male HR leaders in my life and in my career, but the reality is people are far more likely to trust women with the complexity of people issues, right? So, and a lot of what HR does, especially now, is incredibly difficult and is often underestimated massively. You know, but there is something that I think has changed. I think that the impact of HR is no longer an invisible impact. So things like culture, leadership, inclusion, those are now core business drivers, and HR is part of the strategic direction of a company. I mean, HR isn't, they're not there to organize a birthday cake. They're there to design the operating system of how an entire company functions. And that's real power.
Ooh, I love that. That is real power. And I had not thought about that from that perspective. So, as an additional question, follow up to that first question,
Mm.
tell me why those core cultural anchors have been now implanted in many organizations across the world.
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, historically, you have people that have been loyal to the companies because you got a job and you stayed in that job for 40 years and then you retired,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Then we saw a shift where people were kind of hopping all over the place. And
mhm,
because they could and because they should and because you grow as you change. And if you're
mhm,
not getting opportunities where you are, you need to leave and go do something
mhm,
different.
mhm,
But I think that now companies are really realizing quite, a bit late to the game, but at least they're realizing you need to be able to keep people.
mhm,
So in order to keep people, you have to look at, why do people leave? Why are they leaving? What is wrong? What's creating that desire for them to go? Is it because the culture is toxic? Is it because they don't have room to move?
mhm,
There's no change available. There's no passion left.
mhm,
There's
mhm.
a multitude of reasons. And I think that companies are finally starting to think about the cost of getting new people in, training them, versus making sure that the people they have are really happy and that they want to be there.
Absolutely. I agree with all of that, and I appreciate the extra context there. So moving on, thinking about what you've seen in HR and all of your years experience, do you feel that HR systems either support or drain women leaders? And if so, how?
I think they can do both. I think that systems support women when they remove friction, clear promotion criteria, transparent pay, flexibility that's actually real and not just
Mhm,
theoretical,
mhm,
performance measured outcomes, on performance being measured on outcomes, not on visibility. When those things exist, I think that women can lead without constantly having to decode the rules of the game and figure
mhm,
out what's actually
mhm,
going on
mhm,
behind the scenes, which us
mhm,
women are really, really good at. It's like, this
mhm.
looks
Yes,
like
we
that, but
are.
is that really it?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Um, but I think that systems can drain women, especially when things are vague, when
Mhm,
expectations shift, when presence is valued over impact, when women are expected to prove competence while also being likable, you
mhm,
know? that
Mhm.
constant calibration is absolutely exhausting. And I think we've
It
all
is.
done it, you know, and I think
Absolutely.
that there's a lot of invisible labor that women carry, you know, the mentoring, the culture work, DEI advocacy, you know, and if your systems don't recognize that, then you're effectively asking women to do two jobs for the price of one. At Sims Associates, we have, I think now over half of our executive leadership team is female. And that's not, we didn't do that on purpose. It happened because we got the right people in for the role. But then when you realize that you're sitting at the table of an executive leadership team, and half of that is female, it makes me really proud. And, you
Yes.
know, that it genuinely changes the systems that we build. You know, it changes the questions that we ask, you know, what we notice, what we design for, you know, and I
Mhm.
think that representation isn't cosmetic, it shapes your outcomes. And good systems level that field, but bad systems quietly tilt it the wrong direction.
I completely agree with that. And I love the reference to cosmetics because, we women, we really like our cosmetics.
We do,
Um,
yes.
but importantly, we know how to be super transparent and remove the cosmetics in order to get the people part done. And that's what I love about women. We could put it on and we could take it off and we could be effective either way. And that is super important. So I appreciate that point. Tell me, Amanda, what's one piece of technology you use that generally makes your work easier? It doesn't have to be an HR tool. It could be, but
Mm.
we're curious to know what do you use to make your life easier?
We're actually using it now on Teams.
See?
I mean, I know that's not a glamorous answer, but so Sims Associates is fully remote. We're global. Connection is absolutely everything. And I think that for me, Teams gives us a bit of an open door feel, even though it's not really a door, it's a
Sure.
screen. But
Sure.
people can message me, we can jump on a quick call, share an idea, raise a
Mhm.
concern. It doesn't have to be formal, it doesn't have to be, you know, intimidating.
Mhm.
And that really matters to me, that that creates an accessibility to
For you.
me as well as the
Mhm.
rest of the leadership team, because I want people to feel like they can reach me when they need to, not just when it's scheduled. They don't have to go through anybody else to get to me. They can just contact me on Teams. You can just send me a meme, send me a
Yeah.
show. Yeah, I think that the best technology doesn't just make work more efficient, but it makes people more accessible, and that benefits everybody.
Absolutely. More increased accessibility increases productivity, obviously, but it also increases confidence for the employee to
Yeah,
be able to be validated quickly, to be able to execute a task fast. That is super important. So I really love that. So thank you for that. What's one parting thought that you like for our listeners to hear from you?
I think that women in business has changed a lot I mean, even in the years that I've been in this business world, but looking at where we've come from and where we are now, it's absolutely incredible, but we still have a long way to go. And I think that one of the best key things that I think we need to remember is that we can be ourselves.
Mm.
We don't
Mhm.
have to lead like men to
Mhm.
be effective. We can be
Mhm.
ourselves. We can be true to us. And I wish
Mhm.
that I had known that earlier.
Me too. It took me way too long to figure that out. But man, am I glad that I did. It is
Yeah,
a joy being yourself everywhere you go. And so thank you. Thank you. I think that's really super important for our listeners, both women and men, to hear. Because when we are our best selves, everybody wins. So I thank you,
absolutely.
Amanda. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Oh,
for your time today. We appreciate
thank
you.
you. No, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me.